Welcome to Behind the Audition podcast with your host, Curt Hilton. Listen in on interviews with voiceovers, filmmakers, producers, animators, and much more. Curt, a voice actor himself, will give insider tips to the business, talk with guests about how they got into the business, and be sure to stay tuned to the end of the podcast when he challenges his guests with a pop-up audition. Now it's time for Behind the Audition podcast. Here's Curt Hilton.
Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Audition podcast. On this episode, I spoke to the amazing voiceover coach, Corey Dissin. Corey has been in the voiceover industry for decades and knows what it takes to build your brand, market your business, and keep away what he calls spraying and praying. We talked about so much on this episode, and if you are new to the industry, sit back and enjoy another episode of Behind the Audition podcast. All right, coming to the show, the man himself, the coach, the motivated coach of all time, Corey Dissin. Welcome to Behind the Audition podcast. How are you doing?
Curt, my man. What's cooking, man? Good to see you.
Absolutely. I am just so excited to have you on here. We talked before the show. You are one of those coaches that just, you get your week started. You know, a lot of voiceovers like myself will get on there when we can on LinkedIn on the, discipline, and
Sure.
we listen to you motivate all of us. What got you want to coach voiceovers?
Oh boy. So, I've had a long career in the voiceover and the production business, running a national production company and overseeing a roster of talent and booking and casting. And as my beard got whiter and my hair waved goodbye, after doing it for so long, it came time. I'm an empty nester. Both of my kids are out of the house now. And, I had an opportunity to kind of take all of this experience and information and wins and losses and mistakes and all these things that I've experienced in the world of voiceovers. And I said, you know what? I think that it could benefit other talent to learn some of the things that I know. And it kind of evolved into a full-fledged coaching business. I've always considered myself a coach because I've always managed other people, or, I owned a personal training business for a long time. So, that's just part of my DNA. And to be able to take the motivational aspect, the getting people to pull on the same side of the rope as you, and combining it with my experience in the voiceover and production world, it was just a natural fit. It was a great match. And thank goodness I get to do something every day that I enjoy and that I'd like to think I'm pretty good at, maybe.
Oh, you're really good at it. And, one time, I brought this up when I was talking to Charlie Turo.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we as voiceovers, there's ways to sell your business on social media, and there's ways not to sell your business. And what I like about you is your honesty. And actually, you reached out one time, and I was so thankful. Some people don't have thick skin, and I always bring this up: thick skin. You have to have thick skin to do this job. And if you don't, then just don't do it.
We're in the wrong business. Yeah.
Right. You reached out one time on LinkedIn. It was very cool. And you're like, look, I like your posting, but don't get into the habit of posting and praying. And that was fantastic. So thank you to that, because now before I do something, before I hit send, I'll think about, is this something we'll talk about a little bit here? One of the acronyms I love. Is it something that's going to be valuable to my business? Is it going to be something just funny, or is it going to be something that somebody will be like, hey, that's really good? So thank you for that one message to reach out, because some people don't do that. Some people it's like, no thanks. So why do you think that's so important? Not posting and just praying about it.
Well, you're talking about spraying and praying.
Yeah.
Some folks confuse posting on social media with content marketing. They're not the same thing. And that's something that I even had to learn. I believe it or not, I wasn't the biggest social media fan years ago, but it's 2021, man. If you have an online business and you sell B2B and you don't have a robust presence that shows you're an authority and you're engaged with your audience and that you have a certain network that follows you, you must not want to make money. And, it's important for voiceover talent specifically to understand that their marketing, it sounds counterintuitive. And I know it's controversial for some to hear, but it has less to do with how you sound in your demo than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And, people want to get to know you. They want to learn to like you. They want to gain the trust with you. And in order to do that, you have to kind of let your guard down a little bit and provide information that either teaches, informs, motivates, or entertains. TIME, that's an acronym I like to use.
That's what I was talking about. I love it.
Yeah, you got to be able to give that information and, to capture attention. It's a lot more than, hey, check out this new demo I cut, or I just recorded a spot for McDonald's. I mean, that's all well and good, but there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of other talent doing exactly that. What can you do that's different?
Right. Exactly. And so the acronym TIME, what made you come up with that? Because that's how I learned in school. I don't know about you. Acronyms, what if you're taking a test, what acronym helped you answer that question? Because that's a great acronym. Another one I learned was KSE, Knowledge, Strategy, Execute. What was it about the acronym TIME that you thought about that? How you created it?
I mean, because I was witnessing a lot of folks doing it incorrectly, and I wanted to be able to teach. I didn't want to just say, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
I wanted to be able to follow that up with, well, here's a suggestion, an easy way to remember to do your social media posting right, in my opinion. And I was just jotting notes down. I played around with different acronyms, and I started to write down, just brainstorm all the different things you could do in a social media post. And, whether that was, tell a joke or tell a story or provide a scheduling notice or show a tip or technique. And I just started brainstorming the words, and then it just popped out at me. I said, "Oh, there's TIME. That I could spell that word." And then there you go. That's how that was born.
I love the acronym. And, one thing you do too is you kind of use that in your Monday LinkedIn discipline that you do every week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you do that for voice actors and those who want to get motivated, because I just saw the one this morning, and it's really motivating to have a motivator like yourself to help push that start of Mondays. Because some people hate Mondays. I love them because it's like another day to be successful. You know what I mean? If you don't like
Every
what you
day
do, don't have, if you don't have passion, like just people who have those jobs or they don't have passion, you can always change that, right? You can always change what you do and what you love, but you start the week off and you what are you doing? It's like jolt of energy, and I love it. You know what I mean? And it's something that people need on Mondays. So what made you come up with discipline on Mondays?
So here's a cool little story, is that, discipline, believe it or not, was actually a colossal failure.
Okay.
First. And I'll tell you why. In one of my prior entrepreneurial ventures, so I owned it, in addition to all the stuff I did in the production and voiceover world, for funsies, I started a personal training business that I ran on the side. I would train people in the mornings. I had trainers that worked for me. So they were there when I was running the production studio. And part of what I trained, I was one of the first 10 people in the whole world to obtain a very particular certification to coach mixed martial artists on fitness and how to get them prepared for their fights. And I had some fighters that I worked with. So I figured, man, what a great opportunity. I'm going to come up with like there was a very popular brand of swag, I guess you would call it, for the MMA world called Tap Out at the time. I don't even know if you remember what that was. But
yeah, I do. A Tap Out. Was there one here in North Carolina?
They were all over. I
Okay.
mean, Tap Out was for a good stretch was a national brand, and you would often see fighters entering the ring with these banners behind them with all of their sponsors.
Okay.
So I said I wanted to come up with a brand that was kind of tied into my name, that tied into the fitness and kind of tied into how I'm built.
Right.
So same thing. I looked at some words, and sure enough, discipline spelled incorrectly, but correctly, right? It's not DISC, it's DISS, like my name. And I had some fighters that I sponsored, and I sold some shirts online, but I didn't quite know what I was doing. I'll be honest with you. I never was in the apparel business. I didn't know how it worked. And I wound up investing way too much money in inventory, and I couldn't sell it all.
Wow.
Folks just weren't interested in it. So I had boxes and boxes of shirts that we wound up throwing out, a lot of them, believe it or not. And we're talking, that's probably 2010. And as, Go Get It Nation started to grow 2019, 2020, I said, I wanted to do a different show online to pump people up. And I said, what's a good name for it? I was kicking around, brainstorming names. And that just occurred to me. I go, wait a minute. I'm sitting on a name right there. It's got my name in it. I got the logo built already. I'm just going to take it and transform it to be this sort of online weekly alarm clock to splash the cold water on you and say, hey, get up, get out of your own way and go kick some ass this week and show some discipline, because there's a big shortage of that. Everyone talks a lot of smack about how they're going to do this and they're going to have this routine. But then when the rubber hits the road and the honeymoon wears off, after 2-3 weeks, they go back to being disorganized and not being able to function efficiently. So it's serendipity. I mean, I got lucky. Like I said, massive failure turned into something that's a little more recognizable now. Now, am I, a millionaire because I thought of discipline? No, but it's recognizable. You saw the show. It has a fan base. It's cool.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this. I just saw this, and this has popped up. I just saw this. If you never know failure, you will never know success. So when you just said that, I just posted that this morning, and that's so ironic, your story. So that is fantastic.
I'm not exempt from failure. I mean, I've been very fortunate. I've had a long career in this business. Even beyond my production and VO related career, now that I'm doing, the marketing thing all the time, that's taken off. I'm blessed.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen without, stepping in some dog poo a few times.
Yeah.
I messed up, or I made a mistake, or something didn't work, or if it was a flop. But how are you going to learn? But my whole thing is to get out there and give it a go, see what happens.
Right. People are always
just
scared
try
of
to tell
failure.
everybody to do the same thing. Because I look, you asked me what motivates me to motivate others. I look at myself and I go, I was not a Rhodes Scholar, didn't graduate 4.0 from college. I don't own a master's degree, an MBA, a doctorate, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've managed to survive pretty damn good. So my attitude is, if I can do it, you can do it. Just let me hear. I'm going to show you these things that I do so that I can be successful and enjoy my life and my career. Let me show you how I do it.
And you give great tips. I've actually learned quite a few things from your LinkedIn posts and your Instagram post. One, for example, taking your logo. And I didn't think about this. And I remember I'd post when I first got my one logo, it wasn't the sizable. Make sure when you make it smaller or bigger, that
vector
size.
file. Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's why it looks so cheesy when I post it. And so I went out and I paid money for that. And this is what I want to talk about next, your brand. So there's a lot of people that don't focus on your brand. And, your brand is what people remember, your logo, the value you post on social media. I made a vow to stop wearing my favorite baseball team, my favorite sports team, and so like my hat and my shirts. And when I go out walking, I walk every day. I wear my brand because what am I getting back wearing everybody else's brand? I'm giving them free exposure, right? So thanks for that, for things like that branding. What would you say to new voice actors who don't have like a logo or a brand? What advice would you give to them as a coach?
Well, the best thing that you said is your insistence on wearing your brand wherever you go. Because most voiceover talent or solopreneurs make the mistake that once they come up with that cool looking logo or the smart and clever tagline or slogan, and they put it up on their website or get some business cards printed or put it on their social media banners, they think that they've got a brand. Okay. They've done branding. I'm branded.
Right.
And like I said, you pounding the pavement, that's branding the verb. That's where the mistake is made. It's like, okay, once you do have a logo, once you do have a slogan, a color scheme, a font, what are you going to do with it?
Right.
Most folks saying, well, it's too much repetition. I think I'm going to bother people. Exactly. That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Right.
They're so worried about upsetting someone or not making friends. You're not developing a brand to make friends, people. You're developing a brand to make money, to get clients. Be okay with the folks who are going to be annoyed by you and say, oh my God, all he does is show the picture of his head, or, he wears his, show name on his chest. Let him say it. Who cares?
Right.
You got to stand behind it. You got to embrace your brand. You got to do the verb of branding and be relentless, sharing it with everyone, and do it with a smile and enthusiasm. So that's the tip there. The brand only begins with the logo and the website and the slogan. It doesn't end. It can end if you don't do anything with it.
Right. Right. And when I first came out, like, I run a DJ business, so I diversified my DJ business with my voiceover business. And so I had to come up with something that it was like an umbrella, if you would, and it had to be something that they kind of were related to, because some people are like, I don't understand. What are you doing? You're a DJ, you're a voiceover. So I had to kind of mix them both. And I finally came up with a logo, because that was probably one of the hardest things to do, is create a logo that made sense. Because I'd sit down with my wife and be like, what do you think about this? And it's like, well, I'm confused. Then I'm like, nope, I changed it, because I don't want anybody confused. I want, I look at your logo on the back. You have that. Okay. I will remember that logo. It goes with you and that brand. So I guess my question would be, when you get your logo, do you settle with your logo, or do you ask somebody questions, or reach out to a coach like yourself and say, is this good for me? Or do you just go with what you like?
So it's interesting that you kind of tickle this subject, and I see a lot, it's pervasive in the voiceover community, where talent are polling their networks for feedback on their brand. And I maintain that's a colossal mistake.
Okay.
Now, it's one thing if you want to get a second opinion of an agent, a manager, a marketing coach, even your VO coach, or a trusted colleague, your spouse. But when you start putting it out to the masses, and you're not 100% sure, it's not right to begin with.
Right.
You have no business what are you doing putting it out there and looking for you're not looking for you're not looking for feedback when you do that. You're looking for approval. There's a big difference.
I like it.
You want to please everyone when you put it out there. You want everyone to say, oh, how cool is that? That's great. Another missed point by solopreneurs and voice talent out there is you're not seeking universal approval, because even the people that say out loud that they like it, there's a good contingency of them that secretly are not wishing you success.
Absolutely. I like that.
And
that
you need to have the part of having a brand is putting your weight behind it and not worrying about what the other person, I don't like the color you picked. I don't like that the circle is not all the way around your head, Corey. Why isn't that circle all the way around your head? Well, that's because it's a big giant C for Corey.
That's awesome.
Dummy, right? Or why does it look like it's got scraped on the ground? I don't get that. Well, that's because I'm kind of a rough and rugged fella, and it needs to have a little edge and a little like it's worn a little bit. That's me. That's uniquely me. And you got to be fine with that. And everyone's going to have their look, their color, their icon that's going to be uniquely them. Have the confidence. If you really love it, that's all you need. You don't need, 350 social media connections to all vote on the same side. It's fine. Every time I see that, and it happens every week, where folks are putting up, here's another version of my logo. What do you think? Or here, hit the thumbs up for A, or hit the smiley face for B.
Right.
Guys, cut that out. Strap on a pair and stand behind what's yours, and be okay with the however many folks don't like it. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, that's what I like about you. It's no sugarcoating is what makes you a good coach too, right? I mean, one thing I like about you too is the community of voice actors most of the time are great. They help each other out. But there are the trolls that I believe the jealousy is they're mad because they can't figure it out. So they get mad at somebody else, or they'll post something about somebody else. Two, they'll brag how busy they are, how successful they are.
Oh,
And I love when you get on there and you're like, stop it. Just stop it. This is not what you're supposed to do. Just focus on being a business. Don't tell us how successful. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's a turn off to everybody.
totally.
And it's just that's what like I said, no sugarcoating with you. Why do you think people do that with the jealousy thing?
Well, I mean, a lot of that posting how much you make, and I refuse this job for X reason. That's all about insecurity.
Okay.
They're not secure in themselves, so they have to prove to the rest of the world that they're doing it the right way.
Right.
Right way to who? And that's a bully tactic. And I'm just deathly allergic to bullies. I got a real tough time with them. And, what you see is what you get with me. This isn't some act.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I am as a man, as in real life. If you ever met me in person, it's the same guy. And I can't stand when people pick on other people that don't know how to defend themselves. So I sort of injected myself in those conversations and say, pick on somebody your own size, leave them alone.
Right.
And it's not cool.
One thing I saw last week that I liked, on the show, I have people that work strictly with agents, don't work with agents. They're their own person. They don't, they go by a certain VO rate. They'll do whatever business they can get to get business. One thing I heard you did last week was really good. People worry about what they charge for their service. Now, there are freelance sites out there, and we all know all of them. I'm not going to mention them. We know what they are. There's ones you can pay to play. There's ones that you can charge what you want. But I found something. I took your advice, and I sat there and I thought about it, because one thing I like to do when I get out every day, I make sure I walk 30 minutes a day, and I'll listen to marketing podcasts or something fresh to get my brain going. Because sitting in the house, sometimes you go crazy thinking about ideas. So I get out, and I heard this from you, and I heard it from somebody else. These freelance websites, you can charge what you want. And if you want to be like those ones who get upset at the other ones for charging X amount of dollars, you can always change those freelance sites to be a good charge. It doesn't have to be $5, $10 and all that. You can make it what you want. So why do you think those others are so upset? This is something you're talking about. Why do people get so upset what people charge? Why are they so worried about it? Why do you think that?
Well, that comes from the insecurity and weakness as well. Is that, it's, I've been in this business about 3 decades, and it's been one thing after the next where the sky is falling and such practice is going to ruin the voiceover business. First, it was non-union work in general. I can remember that when, more and more talent went and did non-union work. Then it's, if you don't have ISDN, or if you're on a pay-to-play site, if you're doing Fiverr, if AI is going to ruin voiceover work, it's always some threat. And, I can't spend my day worrying about the next threat to me. And believe me, I'm sure there are plenty of them out there. I'm not on everybody's Christmas card list. It's fine. I can live with that. But the point is, and what I try to tell talent of any ilk and experience level, there is one person in charge of how much you charge, and that's you. That's you. You're in charge of that. You don't owe anyone an explanation, unless if you're in the union, if you're SAG-AFTRA, you got to play by the rules. Right. You're paying the freight, you're paying your dues, you follow the rate card. But for the folks that say you're not charging the non-union standard, that's like saying you're not drinking the hot ice. It's an oxymoron. There is no such thing as non-union standard.
Right.
Folks will say there are these rate guides out there, which, I'm not going to single them out, but they're put together by very experienced, well-intentioned professionals, but they're not the law.
Right.
It's not a mandate that you have to adhere. They're suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
And where did they get their information?
Mm-hmm.
No one's asking that question. So, my attitude is, if someone is that concerned about how much you charge for your service, when they start paying your mortgage payment, and the lease on your car and your kids' tuition and your grocery bill, then they'll have the opportunity to say how much you charge for your business. Everyone's motivations are different. Everyone's definition of monetary success is different.
Mm-hmm.
Some folks say you got to make 50 grand, 100 grand, $500,000, whatever. Everyone's goalpost is different. You can't say this is what you have to charge. There is a reason why there is both Louis Vuitton and Walmart, both of which are multi-million-dollar companies. They just get to that number a little different. And it's okay. Release from it. Run your own race. Be confident in what you charge. If you're a strict union, scale plus 10, bi-coastal agency represented guy or gal, good on you.
Right.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
But don't ridicule the person who's not. It's not nice. And be nice. You got to be nice, right?
I love it. So let's get to Corey Dissin, the coach.
Oh boy. Okay.
Because here's the thing. I ask a lot of voice actors or directors on the show, what's the first thing you should do when you get into this world? And I know one thing that drives you nuts, and most of us nuts, is when somebody says, I'm an aspiring voice actor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, just stop saying that. Take that word, throw it in the trash, right? You know, you're a voice actor today. You got hired at Home Depot today. You're whatever at Home Depot. You're not aspiring to be at Home Depot. So my question is to you, what is the first thing besides a coach, a voice actor should do getting into this world?
Well, I mean, there are certain pillars that I look for in a talent who's going to be conducting themselves as a voiceover business. Big difference between voiceover talent, voiceover business.
Okay.
If you're a voiceover business, you got to have a professional demo, or at least professionally produced. You don't necessarily have to go big ticket and hire one of the big guys to do it, but there are professional audio editors out there that can help you create an audio montage that is representative, number one. And you got to have a professional recording studio. You know, the equipment out there is modestly priced enough that you can go out and get an XLR mic, and you can get an interface and a decent computer and put some sound attenuating material up on the walls and have a nice clean sound. You got to have those two things minimally before you can call yourself a professional voice talent. And then from there, you got to have a marketing effort, a plan. You know, you're not just going to hang your shingle out and go, look, I got a Neumann U87 and I got a demo produced by such and such productions. I'm ready to be hired. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You know, you got to have systems and processes and, you know, get on social and, you know, create a brand and network. So it's like, you got to market. You got to be out there being the best networker and, you know, shaking hands, kissing babies, getting out there and pressing the flesh. I mean, even if it's in a virtual sense, you know, it's like, it sounds counterintuitive, but your demo does not guarantee you voiceover work at all. It guarantees you have a nice demo. That's it.
That makes total sense. And so you seem like the kind of coach that, and I've talked to you before, you're a motivator, but do you like get into like, look, there's no excuses? Is that your mindset? Like, there's no excuses. Here's what we're going to do this week, and I'm going to hold you accountable. Is that what kind of coach you are?
Well, it's not as black and white as you might think. I mean, you know, do I hold my clients accountable? You're damn right I do.
That's
and
perfect.
I remind them of certain mileposts we need to be either hitting or hit.
Mm-hmm.
But life happens. Okay. There are things that happen. Life's inbox is never empty. And there's always something that occurs. And a lot of the coaching that happens is how to circumvent obstacles and how to rebound, how to be resilient. So it's not exactly no excuse, but it's about overcoming adversity. And I spend a lot of time with my clients helping them overcome adversity. They're trying to bash in the door. Maybe we sneak in the window, for example, or, you know, they got cut loose by their agent and how do we find a new one? Or no one's paying attention to my content. Well, let's make some adjustments. You know, as long as I'm a big fan of small steps. I don't care how fast you go, as long as you're trying to make small steps. You know, if you don't implement what we're trying to teach, well, then, you know, then that's shame on you. But if you're attempting to implement it and you're making incremental steps of progress, I'm down with that. I'm cool. I respect that. Because I mean, look, like I said, I don't live in some vacuum or some bubble. I got life stuff too, man. I got stuff going on. I got stuff I got to handle. So I get it. And I try my best to be a shoulder to cry on, or a sounding board, half of a therapist. I mean, there's a little bit of that goes in there. There's a lot of life coaching that happens in the marketing and business coaching. The two are just so closely linked. It's unavoidable. So, yes, there's a standard that's held. Yes, there's accountability, but I'm not belligerent with my clients. Yeah, okay, I got the rough and tumble exterior.
Right.
But I'm empathetic to a degree, but what I won't let you do is just sit there and be stagnant. We're always trying to take action.
Absolutely. And so I guess, like, I always tell people when I talk to them about getting a coach, do you look at the first conversation as like an interview? Like, I think this relationship is a good pairing, or do you just like, let's just give it a try. It might work out. How do you talk with your, to be clients? Like, do you interview them?
You're always getting vetted. I mean, I know that even after they're signed on, you're getting vetted,
right?
Because ultimately, I know I'm not going to have my clients forever, and I want them to say nice things about me and say how positive an experience they had with me. But thank goodness, I have a system in place where folks know a lot about me before they reach out.
Right.
Because I'm pretty visible.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times that initial conversation is more of, hey, Curt, okay, you want to work with me? What questions do you need me to answer so you're well informed?
Right.
Because like I said earlier, what you see is what you get. I mean, it's not like you see a picture of me online and then I get on the phone with you and it's a different guy.
Well, that's good. That's good.
We keep it real simple. And I like I said, I try to speak in very much layman's terms because I consider myself a layman. And, I'm a regular guy and I'm just trying to help another regular guy.
And I think that's what a lot of voice actors do, is they get scared how to ask the questions to the coach, to be, they're nervous that, what if I'm not good enough for this career? You know what I mean? So I think hiring a coach is important because it's kind of like a person that push you, kind of like, Mickey and Rocky. You know what I mean? I always think of that,
no doubt.
Got to get that going. So speaking of Rocky, I got something fun. It's time for the Behind the Audition challenge, the audition challenge. Are you excited?
Okay. I like a challenge.
So I know you can do voice over as well. I sent you a script here in the chat, and you're gonna love this script because I always think of you as like that, Mickey off Rocky, not old, but Mickey, like that motivating,
Yep,
guy. So go ahead and read that script in any kind of tone you want, and take it away when you're ready.
Good Lord. Okay, I will do the best I can. Let's see here. This looks very much in the movie trailer vein.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm no Don LaFontaine or Howard Parker, but I will do my level best. Here we go. Feel free to laugh hysterically. Here we go. You thought Rocky's coach was tough. You don't know tough until you're coached by this bolt of lightning. This summer, the coach is back in the blockbuster hit Go Get It with Corey Dissin, coming soon.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. That was great. Go Get It is the last thing I want to talk about. Go Get It. That Go Get It Nation. I recorded the video for you, and it's a lot of voice actors and a lot of people you put on LinkedIn. What made you think of Go Get It?
Okay, so I'll tell you the story about Go Get It. The first thing most folks don't know is when I first started to explore my personal brand and get it out there and do my content marketing, it didn't start with Go Get It. That kind of happened. It evolved. I happened to say it at the end of the video. I can't remember the exact video, but I was giving someone an instruction. I was giving the audience an instruction like, you need to do this, just go get it. And around the same time, I follow Sylvester Stallone, go figure, on social media. And he would end a lot of his social media videos with keep punching. And I said, man, I gotta have something like that. I need to have my thing, my catchphrase. And it just, when I heard "Go Get It" after I played that video back, it just made so much sense, because that's what I'm teaching people to do, is just to go get whatever that it is, that money, that success, that fame, that, goal, whatever it is, go get it. And it just says, hey, if you're going to motivate people, what are you going to motivate them to do? Go get it, man. Go get it. Let's go. You got no excuse. And I said, all right, I'm going to say that all the time, every day, 100 times a day, and hopefully have that be ubiquitous with me.
I love it. That is awesome. I love it. So tell everybody who's listening, where could we find you and some of your stuff you do during the week? Let us know what's going on with you right now.
Sure. This is shameless plug time with Curt Hilton.
No, it's all right. I love it.
I appreciate it. Obviously the easiest is to go to my website, CoreyDissin.com, DISSIN. You can obviously, you can Google me, and if stuff doesn't pop up, then I'm probably not doing my job right. I would imagine there'll be a multitude of listings and links. I'm on the big four: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I have a Clubhouse presence. I do shows all the time, running your voiceover business. I have Discipline, the show we talked about earlier. That's your alarm clock to get ready to rock every Monday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. And typically I do an interview show sort of set up like this called Ringside. I typically do that on Tuesday afternoons. I'm taking a little bit of a break from that, but I hope to get that back rocking in the fall. But yeah, the easiest way, just put Corey Dissin into Google, pick your platform that you prefer, connect with me, and I'll be uber responsive.
I love it. And you are, like, if you message you on, on LinkedIn, you're like, boom. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's quick, But I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. We have to do a part 2 because there's so many more questions that I haven't gotten to with you. So we'll have to do a part 2. For those who don't have a coach, definitely reach out to Corey, have a conversation with him. He's one of the best in the business. And Corey Dissin, thank you so much for being on Behind the Audition podcast. You're awesome.
Curt, you're the man, dude. Thanks for having me. And we can do a part 2, 3, 4, whatever you need, man. You wind me up and point me. I got your back. Okay.
You're awesome. Thank you so much.
Curt, be good, man. Thank you.
For more information about Corey Dissin, or to inquire about him being your coach, visit CoreyDissin.com.
Thanks for listening in on Behind the Audition podcast, made possible by Hilton Productions. If you need a male or female voiceover, contact us at HiltonProductions.com. Hilton Productions, let our voices do the selling.